about urban forestry. Because with all the development plans that you're doing, we also need to make sure that the environment is, that the people, that there isn't too much congestion, that there's health of the population as well. So I would like to introduce our second speaker, Professor Hemanthi Ranasinghe, who's Senior Professor in Forestry and Environmental Science, and who has a PhD from Wales, and who has done a lot of work in biodiversity, social forestry, and she also looks at environmental assessments and monitoring. So over to you, Professor Ranasinghe. Can you unmute, please?
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me share my screen. Yes. Yes. So urban forestry, I'll be talking about, and especially since I had worked on this construction of the master plan for stormwater for the Jaffna Municipal Council. I think it is a privilege to participate in this discussion. So urban forestry is the care and management of single trees and tree populations in urban settings for the purpose of securing economic, environmental, and social benefits for its dwellers. And so first of all, the benefits of trees in an urban setting can be categorized to environmental aspects as well as sociological aspects. So with regard to environmental aspects, there's a lot of benefits trees or treescapes can bring about: runoff reduction and stormwater control. In fact, I would think that the biggest problem that Jaffna was having with regard to stormwater is, there was a hitch in urban planning, because most of the low-lying areas had been converted to settlements. And because of that one, there's a lot of water accumulating in those areas. So trees can effectively absorb that water and transfer it out. But ideally, I mean, there should not be any settlements in those low-lying areas. And also trees can reduce the air pollution, because it can capture the pollution from its leaves and other parts of the tree. And energy savings by way of cooling effect. And it is well documented that about 50% of energy saved on cooling by way of air conditioners, fans can be reduced if you have a tree cover, tree buffer around your office or home. And it can sequester carbon dioxide, carbon sequestration, and provide habitat for people as well as plants and animals, and connectivity between habitats through biocorridors. So some information about trees, how much it can sequester. On average, a mature tree of about 10 years can absorb about 22 kilograms of carbon dioxide. So, and also it can emit 260 pounds of oxygen. So in a time like the whole world is talking about climate change, and trees has a special characteristic, or the only characteristics, of absorbing atmospheric carbon dioxide, which is now becoming a rather lethal thing. Absorb it to its basic functions in preparing its food, which is called carbon sequestration. So only trees has the ability for that. And with regard to sociological aspects, it can create an appealing outdoor environment, provide space for recreation, like public outdoor recreation spaces and tree avenues. And it can promote the mental well-being and reduce stress of its dwellers because of the greenery and then the aesthetic nature and the pleasant environment it brings about. Make cities more beautiful hide unattractive features like walls, roads, and parking lots, and also waste dumps, and promote social interaction and sense of community through the use of public open recreational spaces, and promote health and safety of people. And because of this serene environment, it provides the stress levels of the people goes down, so reduce crime rates and violence, and increase the property values. But it has some cost, especially for the municipalities. Tree purchasing and planting, they had to look after them like pruning. You have to water them at the initial stages, removal and disposal when they are dead or they are not suitable for that place, pest disease prevention and control, sidewalk repairs because of the roads, leaf litter cleanups, and legal liability and other administrative aspects. So the niche of urban forestry and sustainable urban planning is to produce and manage its basic services like water, waste, energy, and transportation, which is guided by the triple bottom line. So here are some pictures of urban settings where there's a lot of trees in the vicinity. Although urban space is very important, very expensive, I mean, only it becomes sustainable if it is having a good treescape. So here you could see the problem and the solution in conventional development and smart development, where when there's trees, the precipitation can be infiltrated or absorbed and taken down to the groundwater flow much effectively than when it was not there. You could see that infiltration, it could be quite high, and runoff can be reduced in smart development, so that the trees could evaporate a lot of water, so that the flooding, the storm water, and the other catastrophes could be reduced. So the siting of or locating urban trees, urban home gardens, I know that Jaffna still they have beautiful home gardens with a lot of mango trees and a lot of other good home gardens. And it provides multiple benefits while it provides the aesthetic environment, it provides the food, the fruits and habitats for animals, biodiversity, and also it catches it reduces the pollution by absorbing the dust particles and other things. So not only in Jaffna, but in all the rest of the country, we have roads where the avenues have been planted by trees. And this is parks, the famous park in Vihara Mahadevi in Colombo. And according to the UDA regulations, about 1.4 hectares has to be kept as public open recreational space per 1,000 persons. So there's the new tendency of having a lot of walking paths in cities to provide the health benefits of its inhabitants. And conserving forest patches in cities provide connectivity through biocorridors, and this is one of the examples, Udavattakale forest in Kandy, where it's been conserved in the heart of the city. And also in Ratnapura we have Pompekale, which is also a small forest patch managed by the Ratnapura Municipal Council. And these provide, in the midst of a city, they provide biocorridors for animals to move. So things to consider in the selection of tree species. You have to consider the physical environmental parameters of the site, like the temperature, because in urban settings, the temperature is high, the solar radiation is high, the rainfall perhaps would be less, and various soil types are there, soil depths are there, and they have to be considered, and especially with special reference to the urban environment and the space available for planting. In fact, we were trying to promote some avenue planting in Jaffna, but we found that the space available is very limited. And the place to plant the roadside planting on wetlands, public open recreational spaces like parks and other open areas, religious spaces. So trees used for these different phenomena are different. So you have to know what are the species to use, what would be the best for these places. And the aesthetics of the tree is very important, especially they have to be flowering, especially if they are used as roadside plants and not so big and not so spreading, and should not have fruits, otherwise it will disturb the pedestrians because they would be inhabited by animals, and easy to grow and get established. So this is actually a small table on this type of plants suitable for Jaffna. Jaffna has coastal areas as well as inland areas. So in coastal areas, there's for avenues, Gamsuria, Palmyra, Malitan, and Coconut, and suitable for large open spaces and home gardens. As trees, you can have coconut, jack, del, kohombe, murunga or moringa, Aralu, Bulu, Nelli, Teak, Halmilla, Siambala, Mango, Atambalite. And for religious places, passion fruits, lemon, and kumbuk. Then on this as medicinal plants, you can have kumbuk, mi, na, bamboo, bakni, madara, tika. These have been planted in areas where there's waterways. The moisture content is high. So but in fact, the UTA, the Ministry of Environment, had provided a fantastic guide called Urban Guide for Selection of Urban Trees. So this can be used by anyone and can be downloaded in the site of the Ministry of Environment. But everything comes with challenges, and the whole life of ours is addressing challenges. So what are the challenges in urban forestry? Municipalities may not generally have a master plan for urban forestry. Ideally, they should. And since the space is highly competitive commodity, especially especially in cities like Colombo, where there's high economic activity, and also with unplanned urbanization, the green spaces may be the first to go. So we have to grab onto them. We have to really gazette these urban development plans so that we can really hang on to them. And urban forestry can be effective only through public, private, and local partnership. And if it's not the case, due to non-maintenance, it will be degraded. And lack of coordination and cooperation is happening most of the time. And also, this needs funding. So because of this, we know the benefits. The benefits really outweigh the detrimental effects. So we have to really work together as government, public, and communities to make our cities livable. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that talk. I think it's, if you like, a warning that all of us shouldn't rush headlong into changing things without first making sure the spaces are there for growing plants. And as you say, the gardens in Jaffna are amazing, and in the mainland where everyone has their own little plots where they grow trees.